Well, really what I wanted to talk about today, what I really wanted to speak about today was the spiritual realms and how to connect to them, how to maneuver into the spiritual realms, how to connect to them, have the out-of-body experiences, how to walk on the spirit side of life, kind of walk with people, talk to people. And I've been kind of learning that most of my life, of kind of leaving my body, heading off to the other side, and kind of speaking with my father, who's been dead now quite a few years, but kind of just walking with him at times, just kind of walking and talking. And there's this question of kind of putting the energy out into the spirit world of what I wanted to see. As I said, what most people will say, Lewis, I really want to see spirit. I really want to connect to spirit. I really want to connect to the vibration. But then all of a sudden, they don't put the work in, the vibration of work, of connection to work. So if we allow ourselves to work at it, put it in motion, continually work at the situation, because you might not have an out-of-body experience when you're in a meditation today or tomorrow, but you could. See, that's the question. You always have to look at, I could leave my body while I'm sitting here in meditation, or when I'm daydreaming and kind of working in that vibration. When I used to work at nursing homes, I used to sit with people that were getting ready to pass to spirit. I would go in and sit with them and read to them or talk to them, and I would just sit with them. And a lot of the times I would sit there, and I would sit there in the situation of being in the vibration, and I would travel to where they were. I would leave my body and be where they were. And when I spoke to a gentleman one time, and he just said, Lewis, I'm getting ready to meet my brother. He's going to come get me. But he's not going to come before Christ comes. Jesus Christ will come across the crystal sea, and he will pick me up and take me to my brother. I'm going, oh, okay. So while I was in this, I touched his arm, and I went where he was. I went where he was standing. And he looked at me. He said, oh, you're here. I said, yeah. So we were sitting there talking, and this was through, because I knew my body was still sitting next to his bed in the nursing home. But I had joined him at this bench near this waterway. And the crystal sea, like you would call it, the crystal sea. But the light was glistening off this water. So he said, oh, crystal sea, Lou. I said, oof. And I had to kind of think back and going, well, maybe my father was right. My father's a Baptist minister. Maybe my father was actually right. It's the crystal sea, and Jesus is coming. So I saw this boat coming, this old wood boat coming across the water. And I said, really? So I waited and I waited, and finally the boat got close enough to shore, and I could see that it wasn't Jesus. It was actually his brother. And his brother jumped out and hugged him, and he wanted to know where Jesus was. He said, Jesus does not come out and pick up the first arrivals. Doesn't come pick them up. And I thought that was kind of cool, that Jesus doesn't come pick up the first arrivals. And that's the first I heard from him. And then the gentleman that I had gone to join there, touched my arm, and kind of that energy from that side said, Lewis, you've been so good to me, you should come with us. And when he did that, from the other side, I could feel all the energy of the life force draining out of me, heading off to the other side. And I said, oh, no. I was standing here with you, I was talking to you, but I'm not ready to go yet. I'm not ready to get in the boat and head off across the water. And then he let go of my arm, and I could feel my energy going back into my body. He got in the boat, and I came back into my body. That was one of my experiences in a nursing home, when I sat there and I'm going, really? I said, so I kind of understood that we all go at that point. And a couple of times that I sat with people, I figured out we all go to a part of the spirit world that we're comfortable with, that have this comfortable situation going on with us. So he believed of Christ coming across the crystal sea. He believed that Christ was going to come get him. He believed all this stuff. So that's naturally that when he started to go to spirit world, he was going to try to see that. His mind was going in that direction. So I had another lady that was actually a Jehovah's Witness. And she told me, she said, I'm going to have to work my way into heaven. I'm going to have to work my way into heaven. I'm going, really? Okay. And when I touched in with her, she was sitting in this enclave of these thorn bushes. And it was like a little cave, but she was sitting in the middle of it, sitting on the ground. And I was standing there next to her, and I said, well, hello. She goes, oh. She said, I'm busy working. And she had these little clippers, and she was clipping these thorn bushes. And she was making like a hole or something she was doing to work her way into the spirit world. And I looked at her, I said, well, we can go right out through this little pathway and we just walk right around and we can be where you need to be. She goes, oh, no, 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 no. I wouldn't be working my way into heaven. So she went ahead and finished cutting. And I said, well, it's going to take you about 3 hours to get through there. She said, well, it'll take me 3 hours. So I went out and finished doing my work in the home, and I came back about 2.5 hours later. She was getting ready to pass. I touched base with her, and she had almost cut her way through. And eventually she cut her way through. And she said, see, I'm on the spirit world. I worked my way into heaven. And she got up and she walked away, and she thanked me for joining her and helping her on her journey. And I said, really? I mean, she should have just walked around the corner. But it was where her thoughts were. It's where that connection was, where that vibration where she thought that she should be. And I've seen people pulled out of the bed by just hands coming through the top of the bed in hospitals, nursing homes, and places where I was, where people were getting ready to pass. I saw these large gold hands come and grab somebody and pull them through the wall, and I saw them leave. And there's been different ways for everyone. Everyone leaves the earth plane in a different vibration, a different connection of what they truly believe. My grandmother left the earth plane more on, she thought that the Virgin Mary was going to come pick her up. So, sure enough, this lady dressed like the Virgin Mary was there, holding a crucifix, saying the Hail Mother Mary of Grace, and joined my grandmother on the path, and they walked off. But I thought that I thought was cool about the whole vibration with Mother Mary was this lady dressed up in this beautiful fabric, and around her head was a Jewish fabric covering her head. And I thought that was kind of cool. I always remember that. I saw the Jewish fabric, and I'm going, oh, Jewish fabric. She's got it on her head. But everything else was different. But just the Jewish fabric was on her head, and she was holding a blue crucifix. So one of the things happened when I've touched base with people, or I've wandered off to the other side to kind of get a glimpse. And the question is we all travel at night. We all head to the spiritual realm at night. We venture. So if we allow ourselves to adjust that, say, okay, guys, I'd really like to see where I'm going, or I'd really like to see a loved one. I'd like to see my father. I'd like to see my son. I'd like to see my brother. I'd like to see someone. Could you please allow them to appear? Then just while your feet are still located on the earth plane, I tell people meditate in bed. They get in bed and they start to meditate and they do all this other stuff. They start to fall asleep. What they do is once your feet have left the floor, you go into some kind of dream state. You start that movement towards dream state just by lifting your feet up into the bed and breaking your connection to the earth plane. While you're still connected to the earth plane is when you start addressing your guides and saying, I'd really like to see this. I'd really like to see this. And you might not see it today, maybe not tomorrow. But eventually something will appear in a dream state, very vivid, very, very vivid to you, that you see it and you go, oh my God, there it is. And you're keeping track. And we're going to start this by visiting the realms and the spirit world, is get a book, keep a spiritual journal for a while, keep a spiritual journal of what you're seeing, what you're connecting to. It isn't a journal, it isn't really who are you on the earth plane. It's not really for you. What it is it gets your mind by writing, by putting things on paper. You've made some kind of intention known to every one of your guides. So what happens is by putting it in paper, you've told your guides, like, this is what I saw. And your guides go, oh, they saw it. See, what happens when you do that, the intention's been made to your guides. Your guides then understand that you actually saw it. You actually connected to it. So then they start saying, oh my God, they saw it. So now we can bring more. See, what they do is you do this. You have this repetition. I've learned that from my grandmother, my uncle, people in my family. Write down what I think I need. What do I need? What do I want to accomplish? I fold the paper towards me and throw it away. But not keeping it on some altar somewhere, but just throwing it away. But that way, that brings it to me. It propels it. It allows me to make my intention known to every one of my guides. It allows me to fold it towards me because I personally accept it. I really want this. And by throwing it away, you want them to go work on it today. Go get this today, right now. Go find this. Go try to look at it for me. Then I pay attention to what's happening in my life. And if we allow ourselves to do that, kind of understand how the guides are working with us, because they're not going to work the same way on everyone's life, because we're brought up different. We're brought up different. I'm brought up as a Baptist, Catholic, spiritualist, because I had a little Indian upbringing by my grandfather, different things in my life. I've had different religious situations going on in my life, a lot of different ones, which I had a lot of stuff impelled into my psyche of what other people thought religion was. So I had to go ahead and try to redo this or reset it or re-envision it for me, kind of make myself my own little cart, my own little bag, as you would say. So I knew exactly what I thought religion was, what I thought spiritual was. And then I tried to work off in that direction. So if you're looking to travel to the other realms, kind of connect to these other realms, these other places of existence, find out how you believe. It's your belief system. It's what you believe at the end of your life. When you're getting ready to pass to the spirit world, it is what's banging around inside of you is what you're going to see when you open your eyes on the other side. It's what you're going to envision. If you believe there is nothing there, there's just going to go into the blackness and just going to go right back to dirt, and that's it, then you open your eyes and see people. Some people see nothing when they pass. They see nothing. They have a narrative experience. They say, oh, I didn't see anything. You didn't see nothing, because they did not have that true belief of where they're going. You still get into a room. Their guides still take you to the spirit side of life. They still put you there, but they put you in a room without the lights on. So we, as individuals on the earth plane, are the ones that turn the lights on. We start to maneuver our building, our place of existence on the other side, our view of it. There are these levels of the spirit world. Most people are not going to go to the first, second, or third level. You're not going to go there unless you haven't learned anything here and you have kind of ventured into the same realm. The first realm is a little bit dark. It's dark. It's a darker energy. It's like a misty energy. It's a darker energy. Second realm, the light starts to break through the clouds. It starts to break through. But both those realms are exactly like this one. They're just differently lit. They're like this one. They're differently lit. And you're walking through this vibration. Third realm, you start to see a little bit more of a connection, more of a colors of light coming through. Then the fourth, then the fifth are where you start to maneuver through this gateway. My father always told me there was a gateway to the other spirit side of life. And when you get to that gateway, when you get to that place, that vibration, what you're going to see is roadways going off like meridians, going off into the universe. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousand roadways. And when we venture off and we get through the turntable and we get standing on the other side, your guides are going to go, what do you want to do? And what's going to happen is you're going to be able to travel through any one of these roadways. Any one of them. You get to choose. You get to pick the vibration that fits the vibration for you. Whether you want to go sit in the temples and read, whether you want to go to the libraries and the temples, you want to go pray, you want to go listen to music. You want to be somebody's guide. So maybe you might go to the temple where there are guides or people that work with other individuals on the spirit side of life. So maybe you want to help people that are in the level 1, level 2. Help to encourage them, get them to a higher level in the spirit world. What you want to do, see, that's the question, is have to kind of, you don't have to get this in your mind right now, but kind of state to your guides, okay, guys, I know I'm going to end up on the spirit side of life. Where? Then watch your meditations, watch your connection to the spirit world, especially your dream state, and see where your guides are trying to take you. Is it full of color? Is it beautiful? Is it dark? Is it a little craziness? What do you see? What do you sense? Especially if you have a repetition of dreams, a repetition of situations going on with you. If you have that, if you have like a repetition of stuff going on, then it means your guides are really trying to speak to you. They just show you something once. It's not the question of them saying, oh my God, this is it. This is gospel. No, it's not. They're going to show it to you. My mother used to say, body, mind, spirit, Father, Son, Holy Ghost. 3 or more times it keeps touching and hitting the vibration for you. And then kind of look in that direction. That includes with even on the day life, where you are at this point in your life. If you start tomorrow off and you say, okay, I'm going to be watchful. I'm going to see what Spirit really wants to show me. Then you watch. I don't care if you see a crow outside your house tomorrow morning. And you drive to work, you open your car, and you get out of your car, and there's another crow. There's a crow sitting as you go into work. And then somebody by the name of Tom Crow wants to speak to you. Well, you talk to Tom Crow, because Tom Crow has something to do with crow. You're watching to see where your guides are trying to lead you. They don't make you go somewhere. They just kind of orchestrate. They kind of propel things. I think it's more like, let's make a deal. Door 1, door 2, door 3. But you get to orchestrate this. And when you get to the spirit side of life, it's your decision of where you go. People say, well, I don't want to come back here. Oh, my God, I've had such a rough life here. I don't want to come back here. Sometimes we come back here not because of ourselves. Maybe in our lives, I've always remembered that in this lifetime. It's not a lot of people are not here on their own spiritual journey. They're not here. They're here for someone else, maybe to give birth to someone, maybe to change someone's life, change their direction, change the vibration for them, which they, in turn, affects the group, which infects you. But you were not really here for that event. You were just here to get that one thing done and go back to the spirit world. That was it. That was all there was to it. It was just that one thing on this earth plane, and then go back to the spirit world. And we take life, I don't want to say take life very seriously, but remember, you're on a journey. You're on a journey here, and try to make it as comfortable and as blessed and as wonderful as you feel like you need to make it. And if it's not completely blessed and awesome and wonderful in your life, then start talking to your guides. Have a discussion with them. Say, okay, guys, this isn't quite working. You need to kind of reorganize this. You need to fix this. You need to reorganize this. And I'll tell them what you want. Don't just allow people just to say, oh, my God, this is it. This is gospel. This is it. Oh, God, no. I listen to people. I do. I do listen to them, and I take it all under consideration, and I propel it into my vibration. Even when a medium or somebody works with you and they talk to you and they give you messages from the spirit set of life, remember, when you're standing there and you're getting all those messages at a higher sense of consciousness, what's happening is little roadways are opening up. Now the medium can't say, okay, I'm going to break out the duct tape. I'm going to drag you right there. All we do is tell you that there are going to be signposts along the way. There's signposts that'll show up. They'll connect to you along the way. And if you abide and go towards a certain signpost, you're going to get here. But if you decide that signpost is nothing that you want to look at, you're going to venture off in a different direction. You venture off in a different direction. It is free will and choice of what direction. All we do is put like the Burma shade signs up along the highway. We just put all these little billboards up, and then we allow you to read them, to look at them, to weigh the possibilities if it works for you, then make your own personal decision on what direction you need to be in. Some of us need to make the journey through the mountains and through the valley and then back to where we need to be. A lot of us kind of want to just stay on the path. Let's get the direct route. Let's get it all done. Let's get it finished, and let's move right to the direct route. But it's our decision of what we do. Same thing in the spirit side of life, in the spiritual realms. It's where you abide, where you set foot in the spiritual realms. I have a strong belief in past lives, incarnations and past lives. So I believe that when we enter the spirit side of life, it's like all our bodies, our earthly bodies, all our spiritual bodies are all coming together. They're all manifesting themselves together, like pulling them all together as you enter the spirit side of life. And you are, from the beginning of time when you first took your first breath in this earth plane or in another realm, and all the way through every one of your lifetimes, those bodies start to connect. And as you enter the spirit side of life, you are a conglomerate of all those bodies, all of them, a conglomerate of all of them. So when you enter that airplane, you might go, phew, I want to go here. And sometimes we're not going to see family. Sometimes you're probably not going to see your loved ones or people. Because some people on this airplane, we don't really have loved ones. We don't have people that we're going to say, yep, really want to see them. After what happened to my life, what they did to me, really want to break bread and want to sit down to dinner with them. Get there and pull our hat down and wander through the airport and get to another part of the airport before they see us. Venture off somewhere off in the spirit side of life. But it's where you decide. It's where that realm, that vibration of realm. Because there are different dimensions, different realms in the spirit world. As those different realms, these different dimensions have different roads going off from them. So it's our mind, our thought of where we would like to be. And then Spirit starts to manifest it. I like that one movie, What Dreams May Come, with Robin Williams. When he did that movie and he passed the spirit side of life and he was in this building on an island, but he was actually in his wife's painting. And he could see this whole vibration of where he was. And he was searching for his wife in the spirit world. And he was going through all this and going through this, trying to find her and trying to save her at somewhere on the spirit side of life. And I know that that movie has some kind of connection, because there are places in the spirit world that are a little dark, that are a little not as good as they should be. But there are places that are extremely beautiful and light and love and support from the spirit world. So it's where we decide we want to be. It's that connection. And by meditating or getting quiet or just listening to ourselves, we don't really have to go in this major deep meditation. It's just learning to quiet ourselves, quiet the vibration, and allow ourselves to be quiet. Go into the silence, the law of silence. It's the silence within, the silence, to go into that quietness and allow the quietness to build on itself. Then see what appears, what shows up. When I go into the spirit realm, before I go into the spirit realm, I will have a little guide, a little girl. She always comes. She brings flowers. There's different types of flowers she brings. And when I know when she arrives and she starts to bring those flowers and places them in the vase with water on it, up on a table, I'm getting ready to leave my body. I'm getting ready to leave it. That's what happens to me. Now, the question is when you do it, what is going on? Especially if you hear water. So I've told, if you hear water, you hear rushing sounds, like it's coming through your ears. You're hearing rushing sounds. You hear like water rushing or waves crashing or water rushing. Then you're going to hear bells, different bells off in the spirit world, these tinging of bells, this bells. If you hear both those and you're getting ready to leave, you're getting ready to go venture to the spirit side of life, you're going to go take a walk. They'll bring you back. So I realized that some people say, well, Lewis, I was afraid, I didn't go, but I've been trying to get back there, and they haven't allowed me to go back there. Your guides are not allowed to scare you. They're not allowed to say, oh my God, we've scared you to death. Now we're going to do it. Now we're going to do it. Now we're going to do it again. There might be a while before they actually come back and say, okay, let's do this again. Let's get you out of body. So if they're wanting to take you out of body, go. They'll bring you back. And then see where you end up. Where do you walk? First time I left my body, the first time I left my body as a child, I ended up on a road, with these old medieval wagons coming down the road. And I walked off the road, and there was mud. I remember all this mud, water and mud. And I walked over, and out of that came my guy Jeff, who has followed me through lifetimes, which I found out later is he was part of my group through my lifetimes. Jeff was. And that out-of-body experience was my introduction to him on the spirit side of life, where we first met, where we first had our first connection. So I was brought back to that point for that first vibration, that first time he entered my vibration. So, and sometimes we'll end up somewhere in this whole connection of maybe a guide wants to introduce themselves. A family member wants to say something, wants to work with you, wants to venture into the vibration. From the earth plane, that's where we're going. We're going like someone's waiting there. We're just behind the curtain, just behind the vibration. Someone's waiting there to speak to us or to be our guide, to guide us, to take us on a journey on the spirit side of life. So somebody will meet us. So it's a question of who do we want to meet us? Do we want a guide? Do we want a family member? Who do we need at that point? Then kind of start addressing that. Don't change up. Go, Lois, I want to go see my father. Then while you're into it, go, no, I don't want to see dad. I want to see mom. No. I want to see my brother. No. Let's see a guide. No. When you start doing this, focus your intent on one person, on one vibration, one person, and then keep that vibration, keep that scenario going. Just every day say, I'd really like to speak to you. I'd really like you to show up. I'd like you to come forward, and I'd like to speak to you. Because whether that individual hears you and appears on the space in front of you, or your guides hear you and they take off to go see where they are, and they try to propel them towards you. Either or, somebody will show up in that vibration. See, what you're looking to do is to quiet yourself, quiet the vibration, get yourself to where you personally need to be. And that's through either meditation, through connection, through a higher sense of consciousness, working on that. Now, you might take different forms of meditation, different forms of getting in contact with spirit, different things you do to do your vibration, how you work with the spirit world, how you're going to meditate, then work on that. But ask yourself, I asked myself many years ago when I was really doing this, I said, guides, is there something I missed in my meditation that I should be putting forth in my meditation that I haven't seen yet? Could you please show it to me? Could you? Then I kind of watch and see what arrives in my life, what shows up. Does somebody show up offering a meditation book? Does something connect to me through the week? Does it show me something? And they always will. They will. Sometimes we don't pay attention. We don't look at it, but they'll always bring people, events, situations, and things in our lives to get us to where we need to be. They're always trying to adjust the map or adjust the GPS to get us to where we need to be. And if we just ask, say, is there something I missed, something I should have seen, something I should have put in motion? Could you please show it to me? And that's what we're doing. We're trying to redo. We're trying to reset. We're trying to get ourselves out of the way. We're trying to allow them to work with us. Allow them to connect to our higher consciousness so that we can make the journey, so we can make that journey. I noticed that when I was working with a lot of people in nursing homes, I've always noticed out of a lot of people, and this happened quite a few times, that I'd be standing in the hospital room or standing next to somebody when I was working hospice, and standing next to somebody and they were getting ready to pass. There would be like usually about 3 gentlemen, not more, not less than 2, but at least usually 3. and they'd all be holding these black leather-bound books. And the leather-bound books had this circle, had a pyramid, and had like a star right in the center of the pyramid. That's what the book was. It had this symbol that appeared in these leather-bound books. And you could see them standing at the edge of the bed, talking or reading out of the book. And the person who was in a coma, who was completely out of it, completely getting ready to pass, their mouths were moving and they were mouthing words to the individuals that were talking at the edge of the bed. But every once in a while I would walk around trying to look in the book, try to see what they were reading or what the inside of the book looked like. They would always close it, never allow me to see the book. But I knew the book was there. They would allow me to see the front cover, never allowed me to see the inside of it. But then I noticed that when the person was getting ready to go, two would leave, one would stay. And when the person was getting ready to go, they would walk out of the room with them and venture off out of the space. So I remember seeing that through quite a few people that had passed the spirit. And I always thought that was kind of cool with that black book. And even on the airplane now, I'm always looking for this book, this black leather book. And with this emblem on the outside of it. And I have never found it. I never found the book, but I'm always looking for that particular book that I would see. But the question is will people have that idea of who's going to meet them? And nobody dies alone. People, even though our times now where we got the COVID and people in the hospital, people can't sit with them, can't be with them as they pass to the spirit side of life. There are always guides, there are always loved ones, there are always people in the room with them, sitting with them, standing watch, as Spirit would say, standing watch, until they make their final breath and venture off to the spirit side of life. They are standing watch. So there's always somebody with you, whether you're by yourself or if you have somebody, or you have somebody in the room actually from the family with you. There's always somebody there. There's always somebody in that space preparing a place for you. As my father used to always tell me, Jesus said, I go to prepare a place for you. I go to prepare a place for you. There are many mansions on the other side. There are many places of existence on the other side, many dominions, many places, many realms, many spiritual connections on the other side. There are many mansions. He goes to prepare a place. Now, there is the energy from the spirit world that stays with us as we make our journey, our transition from this earth plane to the spirit side of life. There's always somebody standing there. Always. I've been, I think the last time I counted, I've been at the bedside of probably well over 75 people that have passed to spirit. And I've always saw the people in the room, always saw them standing there, waiting, talking and waiting for the person to leave. So, and a lot of the people will pass the spirit world not while people are in the room. Usually it happens when there's nobody in the room, just the spirits, just the people that have come together. When they're in the room by themselves with the individual and no one else is in the room, it's usually when the person passes the spirit, because they've always said their goodbyes, they've said what they needed to do, and the guides, the spiritual guides, are there to take them home. And we have to realize that there's this whole connection and this whole thing of guides, protectors, people on the other side that that's their job to come help you. And sometimes your father, your mother, somebody else will come and sit with you as you venture off. I remember that when I had an illness in my life and I was quite sick, and I woke my eyes and there was my father sitting there reading a book next to my bed, and he'd been there ever since I had gone into this coma. And he'd been there. He'd been sitting there waiting for me. And then envision me later in my life when I was watched people. There's always somebody there either reading a book or just sitting patiently waiting there, waiting for you to come back or come to the other side. They're patiently waiting for you to make your decision of where you are. So the question here is understanding how you participate with Spirit, how you connect with Him. And the rules are, there's not a lot of rules with this. It is you're going to start the journey in the spiritual realms, then get yourself a notebook, get yourself a notebook that you can write in. Get a notebook. Get that first. Get that. Use a pen that you actually have with the notebook. You don't write out checks with it. You don't write out bills with it. You don't do other things with that pen. That pen is just strictly to write in the book. It's all psychometry. The more you use that pen, the more you write with that instrument that you're writing in the book, the stronger the energy will become as you write in the book. So use the same pen that you would write in that book. Keep it with the book. And place the book. You don't have to place it in your meditative space, but place it somewhere where when you get through in a dream, you wake up from a dream, you go, oh my God, I had this dream. Then write it down. Write it down. Write down. I used to keep a small recorder next to my bed, and I used to play it. I put on record, and I talk into the recorder and tell the recorder what I saw during the dream, and then turn it off, and then go back to sleep. But in the morning, I would have what was going on in the dream that night that was very vivid, that if I forgot it, I still could remember it because I recorded or wrote it down. Same thing with meditations. When you get into a meditative state, I always explain when I do meditation, it's never the destination. I don't care if somebody gives you a tape and it's going to take you to the mountain of many fountains, and you're going to drink out of the fountain at the top of the mountain. It's never the top of the mountain. It's never that those fountains. It is the journey up the mountain. It's how you propel up the mountain. Do you walk on gravel? Do you walk on dirt? Is it slippery? Is it wet? Are you on grass? What's going on around you as you make your journey up? Are there people? Are there animals? Is the sky blue? Is it dark? Is there rain? Is it what's going on around you as you make your journey? Those are all signs from the spirit side of life. They're all signs. They're all symbols that Spirit propels in front of us to show us. Because they have a tendency of not saying, I don't want to say not being completely clear on what they're telling us, but they're doing the best they can through the energy that they have to divert their energy through. It's like, I perceive it of like Spirit taking their energy and trying to fit it through the eye of a needle. They're trying their best to squeeze it through that eye of a needle so that you can understand what they're trying to tell you. They're trying to squeeze their energy through that. So you're trying to keep track of the things that are going on. And then you're trying through all this, through setting the meditations, the dream state, the different things, your vibration. What you're doing is you're setting your psychic vocabulary. You're setting that vibration for yourself. You're setting it. So if you see stones or blue stones, you'll say, oh my God, blue stones, healing. I had heart, so it must be a healing my stuff, my life. So you'll understand what it means to you. Then that becomes part of that psychic vocabulary. So next time you see the blue stones, you'll know exactly what they mean, what they convey to you. The same thing with a baseball bat or a glove or a certain bird or something. It could be a memory, a situation with it. If I see yellow roses, it usually signifies there's somebody here from the father's side of life. My father had yellow roses when he died. He had them all over the church. Yellow roses reminds me of my father's funeral or the father's side of the family. So every time I see yellow roses, I know that somebody's coming in from the father's side of the family, not mother's, not on father's side of the family. So I know where I'm kind of focusing my energy at that point as soon as I see the flowers. It's this question of understanding how you see it, how it propels, and keeping track of it and setting the vocabulary. But getting yourself quiet, going within the silence. And that's without playing any music, without doing anything, but just sitting quietly. Sometimes we can't sit quiet, but we need to train ourselves just to sit quietly and listen, just to listen to the vibration, Listen to the connection. Because you have to realize that once you listen to it, once you propel that in motion, then it becomes part of your connection, part of your connection for you. So you have to realize that everything in your life is connected to a higher sense of consciousness. You might think, I've done stuff in my life, and this is who I am. It is the past lives, the incarnations, the people that you truly were in other lifetimes. Very special, very intuitive, very connected to a higher sense of consciousness. They are just as much part of your cells as this life is part of your cells. They are part of it. The energy is there within you. It is there within the vibration. And all we do in our lives on this earth plane is try to wake it up. Try to wake it up. That's what we're doing. We're trying to wake up that cell memory. We're trying to get quiet enough so we can hear the bells off in the distance that take us through the spirit side of life, that take us out of body. We're listening. We're listening to how spirit is trying to communicate with us. But a lot of the times we're listening to us, to our higher self, to our higher vibration of what we are trying to tell ourselves. Maybe your name in the last lifetime was Joseph Mason. You were an extremely talented inventor in another lifetime. You are extremely talented, and that is part of your cell growth. And this lifetime, you have this connection that you should build something, probably put something in motion, because you have this inclination to build, to put something in motion. Then all of a sudden, you start feeding it as you start getting information from that lifetime, from that incarnation. It wasn't Mozart, all these people that created all this music. It was through that connection to their higher self, which brought that music through. These prodigies that are 5, 6 years old, playing piano like they played the piano for 30, 40 years. It is through that lifetime, that incarnation. We have a lot more kids these days that are prodigies because they are very extremely intelligent. They can play instruments. They can do all this stuff, all this vibration in their lives. That is from a past life, incarnation situations within people's lives. So we have to realize that everything has a part of our self-growth, part of our growth. So if we allow ourselves to say, yeah, I need to get in touch with that. Who were you in a past life? Who were you in an incarnation? What did you do? Who's trying to communicate with you? What part of you is trying to communicate with you from a past life, an incarnation, that is trying to bring you information? Because you got to remember that whole question of past lives, incarnations, all these things going on with you, that is a majorly part of your true spiritual connection. And when you start getting more connected to that, you start to realize who you are. You aren't the body. You aren't this physical body here. You are that, which inhabits this body. You are that. Sure, you might have had things happen in your life in this lifetime that would probably curl my hair. Things would happen in your life. But the question is, what if all that stuff that you say, Lewis, that was awful, it was terrible, it was not good, it was just not good. What if it was not just for you to understand it, but to affect the timeline, to affect the group consciousness? You are just one part of affecting the group consciousness, a fun part of affecting it. We have all the Black Lives Matter now and all this going on with the one individual, Floyd, being killed in the street. And I don't think he was planning that day to go out and have these police officers kill him in the street. But he was completely a part of a major situation, a thing that made a movement of the group consciousness, of the consciousness of spirit and earth. So he was part of it. Sure, he's gone to the spirit side of life, but there is a part of his energy field that is still orchestrating and propelling events on this earth plane which will change the world. So we have to realize that a lot of the things happen in our lives might not be for us, might just be for somebody else or some other connection that's coming right after us or right near us. And we might not visualize it. We might say, oh my God, what was that? And it wasn't, it was to get something else through. It was to move somebody else to where they need to be. That's when you look at the meditations, when you look at what Spirit is trying to talk. You're a conglomerate of all these lifetimes, all these situations that have happened in your life. So what you see has some kind of meaning to you. I might see a great big white stone in the middle of the road and go, I know what that means. And you're going, yeah, I know what that means. Oh. But then you research and try to research yourself back and see, what does it really mean to you? What would that size stone, maybe the size of it, maybe the shape of it, maybe the color of it has some kind of meaning to you? Because it appeared in front of you. So you have to realize how that works for you. And then allow yourself to move in this connection, this vibration within your life, and getting a clearer connection with your higher self. I still don't have a major higher connection to my higher self. I'm still majorly working on it. I don't think I'll ever get done working with my higher self, but I'm doing the best I can to get as much information as I can from my higher self, that when I enter the spirit side of life, I know where I'm at. I know exactly where I have arrived. And that's what I want to see. I want to have that connection in my life of where I'm going to be. Because this is fleeting. This lifetime is going to be here. And before we know it, we're going to be standing on the other side going, okay, we're home. We're back home. We've arrived back home. So take your time to meditate, to get silence, just to sit in silence. You can do it 3-4 times a day. Just sit in your car before you get out of your car. Sit in the silence. When you sit somewhere, like you're sitting waiting on something, just close your eyes for a moment and just sit in the silence. Work on that. It's the same thing as you would do with the different things to try to propel something in your life. You would keep saying it. You would do affirmations. You would keep saying, I am healthy. I am healthy. I am healthy. At this point in your life, you might not be healthy. But by keep saying that, by continually telling your higher self, your core energy, I am healthy. I am healthy. It starts to change molecules within your system. I told somebody not too long ago, I said, you need to just tell them you want to be healthy, dear. You just want you to tell them. And she started doing what I told her to do. The doctors had no idea what was going on with her. There was always going to be all kinds of troubles, all kinds of situations in her life. She's probably going to spend another year in a hospital going through all these tests and all this stuff. And it was just crazy. It was just driving her completely out of kilter for herself. Then all of a sudden she started saying this. And she went back to the doctor, and the doctor said, we don't know what's going on with you, but everything's in remission, everything is clearing up, everything's going back to normal, and we don't know what you've done. We don't know what you've done, but if whatever you're doing, keep it up. All she was doing is saying, I am healthy, I am healthy, I am healthy. All she kept doing is telling herself, every time she got a chance, I am healthy, I am healthy. That is the psychometry of it all. No matter how we look at it, it is the psychometry of it all. The more we place something in motion, the stronger and stronger it becomes. Whether we're doing seances, whether we're sitting in meditation, whether we're doing mediumship, whether we're doing healing, whether we're working on ourselves, it's all psychometry. It is the energy that we put forth within the situation, and as we do, and we continually put forth that energy within the space, we start to build a higher consciousness around us. Might not be inside of us, but it's around us. And it starts to build the energy in the space that we are inhabiting. And then that, in turn, moves us to where we need to be. It's not hard. I thought it was awful hard trying to do this work when I was a kid, because they will always keep talking to me. They always keep running up talking to me and conveying messages to me and talking to me. And I finally learned how to shut them off. Turn down the volume, turn down the volume, turn it down. And then I learned how to turn it up when I wanted to turn it up, but I learned how to turn it down so it's not completely disrupting me every moment of the day. So when you're doing this, I told my class not too long ago, pick a word in your life. Call it you. You can call it any kind of thing you want. You can call it a safe word if you want. I don't care. But pick a word that would turn your mediumship, your psychic abilities on. Then pick a word to turn the volume down so that you don't have them constantly at you. Only when you want them part of the vibration. Because you can't be open 24/7. 24/7 doesn't work. I've been in this business since I've been a young kid. It doesn't work being open 24/7. I've seen people completely like a Roman candle just burn themselves out and they're done. And they don't even do the work anymore. They don't even work on themselves anymore. They're just completely done. They're just completely burnt out. And what you're doing in this lifetime, whether you're helping others, connecting to their higher vibration, trying to help them on their journey. But remember, everybody that's supposed to pass your path, pass you on the path, was placed there long before they made that journey towards you. It's how we affect them is our free will and choice and their free will and choice. It's how we affect their journey. That's why you always thought about your thoughts and things in your life. You realize that you affect people's journey just by what you say, what you put in motion, what you connect to. You affect their journey. Not just, I was out walking the dog this morning. We found a wallet in the middle of the street. I said, well, that's strange. So I picked it up, tried to figure out who it belonged to. I finally got hold of the woman who it belongs to. She said, well, dear, I've never been out to Casadega, and the wallet was in my house, and I haven't even left my home, and all of a sudden this wallet now is outside in the street in Casadega. So it's either somebody broke in her house, took her wallet, brought it over here, or Spirit has a plan for her because they need her to be here. Maybe to run into somebody, maybe to connect to something. They've placed that wallet here, so she has to drive out here to pick it up. There's a reason. There's a reason for these things in our lives. And what we're doing is we're trying to figure out what the reason is, how it connects to us, how that connects. So you have to realize that, understanding that. And I said here before with meditations, get yourself a crystal. If it's a large crystal, great. Small crystal, doesn't matter. Put a crystal in your meditative space. Put a crystal there. So when you meditate, when you connect to Spirit, that crystal is energizing itself. A clear crystal quartz, it's energizing. It's working as a battery. It's in that space. So you actually have this battery, this spare battery in your space, collecting energy as you meditate, every single time you meditate. And like having the one plant in the room is like having 5 people meditate with you. That brings more energy in the space. So you're doing things to elaborate, to energize the space. And then you get quiet and you listen. And you might not hear something for maybe a week or so. Don't give up. Your guides are just seeing if you really want to do it. Sometimes they have a little sense of humor. They have this little sense of humor on the other side. So make sure that when you're connected to the vibration of Spirit, allow yourself to find that compassion within your life, that compassion. We still got time left here. I'm going to allow people, I've got us in question and answer mode. If you've got a question you would like to ask me, I'm in mode. So we got like 5-6 minutes left. So if there's something you would love to ask me, love to connect to, I can answer questions. But I really want you to take the time to regroup, rebalance, reset, re-envision where you are. I'm not saying you're off path. I'm not going to say that you're off path, you're off this connection in your life. You're not. You're exactly where you need to be at this moment in your life. You're exactly where you need to be. But it doesn't mean you can't get out of the car you're driving right now and get in a newer model. A better scenario, a better vibration than where you are at this point in your life. Doesn't mean you have to stay there and go, oh, this is miserable, this is awful, this is my life. I used to have an aunt in my vibration, go, oh, I am so upset. I'm so upset. Every time I saw her, she was just so upset. And she never got even past that. She was always upset. I think she was upset when she crossed the spirit side of life. She was always upset. Then I had Marie Lilla, Reverend Marie Lilla here. And a lot of people knew Reverend Marie Lilla. She was here in this camp. And every time I saw Marie Lilla, she says, I'm going to die of a heart attack. I'm just going to drop dead of a heart attack. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drop dead of a heart attack. And then every day I saw her, she say that. And I'm going, oh, you need to stop saying that, Randy, because you're going to die of a heart attack. And sure enough, they found her in the doorway. She had died of a heart attack. It's what we're propelling in here, what we're telling ourselves. We're telling the vibration within ourselves. So allow yourself to find the energy for you, find that vibration for you, that connection to your higher sense of consciousness. That's all. And that's just by getting quiet. By putting the tools, you could do the clear crystal, you could do the plants. You might have something else that you'd like to put in your spot. I have a friend of mine who has a large crystal skull. He puts it there. He bought it at a flea market. He puts his crystal skull in his meditative space. That works for him. I don't want to close my eyes and see a crystal skull. I really don't. I really don't. It says I have a... Yes.
Yes, Louis. Do animals have spirit guides?
Yeah, we all have spirit guides. We all have guides that actually work with us, all of us. We have all these guides that follow us. We're appointed to our vibration when we enter this earth plane. So they follow us. They connect to us. They're our party, our little traveling party. They travel with us. So as we...
I think,
yeah, go ahead.
Do animals have spirit guides?
Animals
like
do. Animals can be our spirit guides. We have like wolves, different animals that are our spirit guides. Guides, animals could be connection to you. Your guide, your animal guide manifested within a pet, within your vibration. And you have this strong connection like you've had this animal before, this connection, this strong connection to this animal. And it could be an animal guide or an animal protector actually to manifest itself within your life because you needed them to manifest within your life. But I don't believe that animals actually have guides. I feel like animals are guides. They don't have guides.
Okay. Makes sense.
So the animals are like you could have a white wolf or you could have a bear or you could have a different animal within the vibration. And I've had people have animals in their life that are connected to them and they just arrive. They just arrive. A little cute thing I think is cute because my wife, she thinks her guide is a snow leopard. Animal guide's a snow leopard, a leopard. And I'm going, okay, your animal guide. She said, I'd love my guide to show up. A snow leopard. Sure enough, last week we've got this cat. She walked through our front door, stood outside our yard, and this cat looks just like a little snow leopard. We've got it in her office now. So this snow leopard, this little cat. But Marie was trying to manifest this into being, and sure enough, here it was outside our door. So sometimes we manifest things into being because we say we really like to have that. I like to have that, like that, and all of a sudden it shows up. And that's why I tell people, just figure out when we get into the quiet, when you get into this quiet situation in your life, what are you thinking? What are you propelling towards you? That's the little week or so while you're doing that is to kind of figure out what you're telling yourself, so that anything you're telling yourself is not as good as it should be, you kind of weed it off, kind of weed the garden, clear the garden out a little bit, so you can see a clearer view of where you're going. Because if you keep looking at something and continually looking at something, then it becomes part of you. It becomes part of the vibration for you. And you really don't want to attract negativity. Some of us have enough negative people on our plate. We don't need to fill it with our own negativity. We need to clear the plate. We need to clear the vibration and move to where there are many positive people in our life. So start at least to make the plate or make around us not as negative, but more positive. We could have negative. We're going to have negative in our life anyway. But as long as we have enough positive in our lives, it propels us forward. It doesn't keep us running in place.
Makes
Okay?
sense. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Next week we're going to do something else. Trying to figure out. Next week we're going to be speaking on. It'll be talk with Lucerne. So next week I will be in trance. I probably won't be answering a lot of questions that come out of trance and different things. I'll just be in trance and let Lucerne speak, and he'll talk about a subject or something that he wants to speak about. So that'll be next week on Thursday. So happy you guys tuned in today and part of the event today. And remember, next Thursday we'll be doing Lucerne, and Lucerne will be next Thursday. So I do have some events coming up here. If you're close to the camp and you're close, I have a meditation thing coming up that you'll be getting a meditation CD. I'll be doing that on a Sunday, and I'll be doing beginning mediumship here in the camp. So if you're around and you would like to do that, just check out my website. But I want to thank you guys for tuning in today.
Thank you, Louis.